rest of the world that has been in one form or another connected with our country. For me, at a personal level, it's been a very tough but enjoyable journey, based on the fact that this is the best thing one can do, to be part of the many years of struggle to put things right for our country, for our people, for ourselves, all together. So it's 31 years is not really a long time. Depending on what has been happening in those 31 years, depending on what has been happening in those 31 years, one may decide to see it differently, be realistic and say it's actually 31, and 31 isn't very long, considering the world we live in. I think some people live in worse situations than maybe ours, or have been there for even longer than those years we've been there. But anyway, I'm concerned more with my situation, because that's why I can make a contribution. For the rest of the world, those matters are beyond our control, some of us. So, on that note, you're welcome to, you can offload anything you want on me. I'll take it, and we can have a good conversation.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We will try to make this afternoon a bit more enjoyable for you. Let's proceed to the dialogue segment. I will invite each media representative in turn. Kindly state your name and media house that you represent before asking your question. We can have some microphones. Anyone? Okay. Just raise your hand and they'll bring a microphone to you. Thank you.
Happy Liberation Day, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to offload. Yes, there was a peace deal that was signed in the US not long ago, Your Excellency, and we're talking about a potential Washington Accord that is upcoming. But I'll take you back to when the peace deal was signed between Rwanda and DRC. Immediately after that peace deal was signed, President Trump of the US said that he had secured a minerals deal for the US. Shortly afterwards, the former DRC President Joseph Kabila on social media dismissed the peace deal aspect and referred to what was signed as a trade agreement. Some people think that the Trump administration does not understand the situation in Eastern DRC very well. What is your comment about that? And what do you say to those who call Trump's approach exploitative in comparison to the Biden administration? That's the question, Your Excellency. My name is Jackie Lumbasi. I host The Real Talk on RTV.
Good. Well, I would start by asking simple questions. Before the deal brokered by United States in the Trump administration, whatever name you may want to give it, what did other administrations, whether in the United States,
Why people say that 42 Heilbronn is too good to be true. Hi, my name is Albina, and I'm a student at 42 Heilbronn. Why 42 Heilbronn is good and better compared to universities or boot camps is because it teaches you how to be a programmer, how to be a problem solver, and how to be flexible into jumping into new technologies. Changing careers from whatever you are doing right now into coding is something very common here at 42 Heilbronn.
you follow different events and the news and so on. You put things in their perspective, in history, and so on and so forth. Make a reference. Well, even if you don't make it to me now, but in your mind, try to remember what other deals that had been brokered by anybody that were even suitable to deal with the problem in DRC that may be failed because of this or that, and you may put the blame on anybody you wish to. So my question is, where is that? Therefore, if there isn't, maybe you can even go into more details later. Trump administration came. First of all, I thank them that they even paid attention to the problem at all. They could have ignored that problem like many have, and just focused on what is happening in the Middle East, in Ukraine, Russia, Iran, and those are in people's minds more important than having to deal with this African problem. Yeah, it shouldn't matter to anybody, as we have seen it in the past. So, but they took time. Now, I'll try to summarize what my reading of that deal is and how it came about. Once they decided they are going to deal with the matter, there are really three pillars it is built on. One is economic, if you will. The other is security. The other is political. And I think these three are so closely related that you can't just deal with one ignoring the other, because the three are part of the problem. In fact, the main parts of the problem. Now, people tend to concentrate more on economic for a reason. I think some of the players in the region were concerned with the problem. They had in their mind to leverage these resources because they think the resources are very attractive. So therefore they would like throwing a bait and saying, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, you'll control this, which everybody's in the. But those who threw the bait to those who would help in the problem, we're really not looking for a durable solution to their problems or to the problems that affect us in the region. They just wanted to have an advantage over adversaries and give a sweetener to, people to say, we'll give you this, please help us deal with M23 and FCM23 or Rwanda as it is perceived, or our enemies. And that then people would just be attracted to that, take it, and address the problem the way the government of Congo saw it. No, but the Trump administration kept looking at a combination of these three matters that need to be addressed: the political, the security, and the economic. While in some other people's minds, it was just economic. You want a deal, you want money, you want minerals, you want, please take it, but and save us from these troublemakers, even if it doesn't address the problem, depending on how they see it. So I'm sure that is what is still affecting, and maybe will affect the implementation, because what people had in mind is not necessarily 100% what they are getting. But in addressing any problem like this one, it's give and take. You don't get 100% what you want, because there are many parties concerned with the problem. Each one maybe gets a piece of what they wanted, another gets a piece of what they wanted, and together stability comes out of it. So for me, I think there is a chance that we may get somewhere with that. And why I asked the previous question, the other question about the previous handling, the different administrations handled this matter, it was like actually there was less caring for how to deal with this matter than we have now. Because for them, it would just be, M23, sanctions, Rwanda, and that's it. But how do you handle things like this and expect? I don't think they have even learned from history. In fact, it is the same people also who failed in those years that, and now because we talk to many of them, it's like, yeah, but what do you think about this Trump thing? We see, but, and it's like they don't even hide the fact that they are disappointed because they are not at the center of it. It's like, what do we have for us? What do we have in it? And I tell them, but that's none of my business. You were here all these years doing nothing except doing the wrong thing. Because I asked some of them, when you really went all out and wanted to, were sanctioning Rwanda, sanctioning M23, praising the other side, and then vague about FDLR, and what did you really think you were doing that would address the problem? So why would you be asking me anything? You should have asked me that time. You did, I explained to you, you didn't listen to me. You decided to do things the way you wanted because you thought. And in fact, I also don't stop reminding them that actually they are part of the problem. The main part of the problem of this Congo situation is external, in actual fact. Look at the UN presence in Congo. How many years has it been there now? So, and I keep asking people, you sat long ago and you decided to create this mission. You did. But it's a couple of decades it's been there. You never take stock of what you achieved, what you are doing there. But you keep running with the machine, keeps going. Second, coupled with that, if you look at, you have heard of something called the group of experts who tell the stories of what's happening on the ground, who are supposed to guide some of the actions and so on and so forth. The expertise they provide, the reports they write, actually do not have anything to do with the situation itself. These reports were written long ago, when they were being given the mission. So they just come to make sure that everything conforms to that as of origin. Because that's why you always find it's all others guilty in this situation of different things, except the actual perpetrators. You will never find they write anything comprehensively about FDLR. You'll never find they write anything comprehensively about how government institutions are connected with FDLR in spreading hate ideology, genocide ideology. Things that are then done in broad daylight for everybody to see. So you wonder how. But all the reports, 75%, it's blame on AFCM23 and Rwanda. And they're always tight because there's a Rwanda-backed M23. You will tell me in your research, if you ever saw anywhere DRC-backed FDLR, you will never. So the narrative is already written. They just come here to make sure things are adjusted to suit what they want. They talk about minerals as the center of the whole problem. By the way, they should also blame themselves, because if you highlight minerals and then later on you blame somebody for also saying, yes, we have a deal in minerals, but around that we want to solve a problem, because they are the ones who highlighted the minerals in the first place. So how do they blame Trump administration for saying we got a big deal on minerals? Yeah, but you made the minerals the issue. You, the people who are blaming everybody, including blaming the Trump administration. But the way they used that, it was like Rwanda is just in Congo doing whatever, supporting M23, or even the existence of M23 is about minerals, according to them. So they keep playing, even overplaying this narrative. In the end, it works to the detriment of the solution to the problem. Now, it really becomes like, it's like having arsonists being the judge and the prosecutor of people for burning down the house. The very ones who burnt down the house are the ones in the seat to judge, to prosecute, and everything. This is what happened. So some people oversimplify this matter, and take it just to the surface. It's about blaming FC M23, Rwanda, former president of DRC, you mentioned. By the way, do you know that maybe, I don't know why you should never forget things conveniently. You know how the current president came to be president? He was just called to the office, and this man thought he was making a good deal, and they handed him power. Do you also know that actually there were witnesses, heads of state? Did you know that? One of them being the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. The other one being the president of Egypt, Sisi. The other one being President Ramaphosa of South Africa. You ask to go and visit them and ask them this question. So this whole thing, you see, no, I wish they could actually come forward and say, hey, wait a minute, by the way, we know this story. the story, and the other thing is, you also
stop taking meeting notes and let ClickUp AI Note Taker do it for you. It allows you to focus on your meetings, not your notes. It captures everything from action items to key decisions. And after every call, you get a clear summary. But where it really goes,
and so on and so forth. Fine. You can blame us for doing whatever we could to make sure FDR doesn't cause Rwanda problems, and whoever was supporting that. But you cannot blame us for the start of this conflict, because everybody knows where this conflict started from and by whom, and it is nothing to do with Rwanda. This M23, I have said it before, came from Uganda. They did not come from here. Why was it not made Uganda's problem? Are these things I'm talking about new to you? You don't know them? But the story goes out today, it's every day, Rwanda, M23, Rwanda. But you should also tell people how this became Rwanda's problem. Our problem was simple, twofold. FDLR is It has been a problem in the past. It's a problem now. It will be a problem in the future if it continues to exist, threatening Rwanda. There is no way. We don't, as I again said before, we don't need anybody's permission to protect our country. It doesn't matter. So that one put aside. The other one is this Congo uprooting its own people from their ancestral homes and from wherever, and Rwanda has nothing to do with how Kinyarwanda speaking people went to Congo. Nothing. We cannot be blamed for that. But they've been killing people in broad daylight. They've been removing them from their homes and making them refugees here. You know how many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people originating from there who are refugees here. So the fact that we are hosting these people, the fact that we are saying we can't accept FDLR, is it a problem that Rwanda should be blamed for? Is it a complicated problem that groups of experts cannot see? So I've given you a very wide explanation to the very simple question you asked. Whatever solution that does not address these important matters to be addressed will just keep the problems between Rwanda, DRC, the whole region, and wherever else going forever. But the matter is simple. If you don't play games, if you don't allow genocide ideology to take over the region, and then things can be addressed. So for me, I'm thankful to President Trump's decision. And by the way, even if it doesn't work, I don't think they should be the ones to be blamed. They are not the ones to blame. Because in the end, they are not the ones to implement what we have agreed. They just brought people together concerned with the problem, and they've introduced a new way of approaching this problem, which has not been forthcoming from others. And so here, it's our job, it's our task for us in the region to implement that, or DRC or Rwanda to implement their part of the bargain in the agreement. But of course, it helps if United States administration remains close by to follow up and says to people, well, you said you would do this, what happened? They have some leverage over the matter. So I think I have, I did it so broadly to preempt other questions related coming. Yes, okay.
Thank you. So we could have light, and then we'll come this way. There's another mic.
Thank you, Mr. President, for having us. Thank you, sir. I have a question with two parts. The first part is the deal between Rwanda and DRC about joint security measures and removing FDLR. What is the promises have you received to achieve this? And then the second part is what steps will Rwanda take if the FDLR is not removing.
Yeah, let me add something, but I come to it, your question, which by the way, the deal we reached in Washington, D.C. Does not stand in isolation. That one was mainly between Rwanda and DRC. Equally important, there is another deal ongoing that concerns the internal groups of Congo, FC, M23, and the government, and maybe I don't know where else they will involve, that is being discussed and brokered in and by Qatar, the state of Qatar. You remember the story when I met with President Sekedi in Qatar, in Doha, and it originates from there. So these are two sides of really the same coin. So internal matters, so that, and the reason was to avoid the confusion that had been created over years and which nobody was addressing. Congo was always trying to make this problem only a problem between Rwanda and DRC. But there is a bigger component that is DRC's problem, not anything to do with Rwanda. So that's why, in fact, that Qatar effort will look at it broadly between AFC M23 and DRC, in my view, and maybe by extension, because that is the political side now. I said three things: political, economic, and security. So the political is actually mainly internal, so that it doesn't continue to produce these problems that where you deny people their citizenship, or like the other side, Ted, you hand over power to somebody and runs with it, and later on, last time we had elections, so-called, but no elections really happened. It was just a continuation of the thing that was handed to the man, and he just keeps running with it. But that's another story. So, and I'm reminded by what you just brought up. As I said, we reached an agreement in Washington, D.C., but it is not up to Washington to implement it. It's those who reach the agreement there to actually be the ones to implement what they agree. And we have also seen in the whole history of this matter that people really don't necessarily do things according to what they agreed they are going to do. That's the lesson we have learned over many years. So if FDR is not dealt with, and we have set out the way to deal with it in the agreement, then that means the FDR continues to be there, and the problem continues to be there. And Rwanda will always do what it has to do when FDR is along our border. There is no magic wand here to be used by anybody. Yes, you have just to do what is right to do to deal with the matter. So for us, we have this obligation, and we we have laid our case, and out of that, we have agreed to do a number of things to deal with and do it together with others, and we will do that. You will never find Rwanda at fault with implementing what we have agreed to do. You'll never. But if the side we are working with plays tricks and takes us back to the problem, then we deal with the problem like you have been dealing with it. There are no two ways about it. But we are serious, we are honest, we look forward to implementing what we agreed to do and to eliminate the problem.
Thank you. Since Maurice has a microphone, agenda next.
Murakoze nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika, nitwa Ufitine Maremi Maurice, ndi umunyamakuru wa RBA. Mu kiganiro n'abanyamakuru cyo kuwa 9 Mutarama mwaragize muti iki kibazo cyakabaye cyarakemutse kera iyo abantu bakirebera mu mizi yacyo batagiye gucengacengana. Ni ku ruhe rwego mubona aya masezerano ya Washington areba ikibazo agihereye mu mizi, ese muyafitiye icyizere kingana gute? Murakoze.
Yabona bisobanuye nubwo nabivuze mu cyongereza mbere, amasezerano yarahari. Mu masezerano hari ibyo aba yashinzwe bemera gukora buri umwe ku giti cye cyangwa se gukorana hamwe. Ntabwo rero iteka abantu bose bakoresha ukuri cyangwa bavugisha ukuri no mu byo bemeye ku mugaragaro, ariko navuga ko ku ruhande rw'u Rwanda tuzakora ibyo twemeye uko bishoboka, ariko bimwe bihera ku byo abandi bakora nabo twemeranyije. Iyo badakoze ibyo twemeranyije, ubwo birumvikana ko bifite ingaruka ku byo natwe tugomba gukora, kuko twemeye kubikora kandi tuzabikora ari uko n'abandi buzuza uruhande rwabo. Rero kandi ibi nibidakora tuzakomeza dushakisha inzira iyo ari yo yose. Igihe inzira itaraboneka yo gukemura ibibazo uko bikwiriye kuba bikemuka, u Rwanda narwo ruzakomeza gukora ibishoboka byose kugira ngo rurinde abanyarwanda, rurinde igihugu aho kubura umutekano bitewe n'uko abandi twumvikanye batuzuza ibyabo byangombwa. Ibyo rero ni uguhora abantu bashakisha uburyo, nibyo tuzakora, nibyo twebwe tureba imbere yacu.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Lionel Ditavidier. I work for the Pan-African Review. Since we are on the topic of Congo, in 2012, during Umushikirano, you gave a speech in which you criticized powerful countries, mainly Western powers, for scapegoating Rwanda, imposing sanctions in an attempt to reshape our region to their liking. You even mentioned that they were considered us as sheep to be,
slaughtered,
yes,
wherever.
So you used Rwandans to be self-reliant. You used the term which has deeper meaning, I think, kwigira, and to ensure that they will never again be made to carry the blame for crimes committed by others. So my question is, more than a decade later, how close has Rwanda come to achieving the kind of self-reliance you envisioned?
Yeah, for Rwanda, I can account for everything you ask me to account for. What I can't account for is what others have been doing, because those 13 years ago and what I said, Rwanda has constantly been changing. But those powerful countries and how they see us, or maybe see other Africans, has really not changed. It's the same story, and it is what I've just been talking about. They still don't care. Not only do they not care, they actually want to stop you caring for yourself. That's the biggest problem. But for Rwanda, the progress we have made, and especially of taking care of ourselves, I mean, the story speaks for itself. Do you know that, by the way, with Eastern Congo, just before the fall of Goma and Bukavu and
Have you been sitting on a smart business idea and need to get it online? GoDaddy makes it fast and easy with user-friendly products and tools to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. Plus, get AI to help build your business for you with the all-new GoDaddy Aero experience. Start for free at godaddy.com.
for other countries politically support that, you would not believe it. But what happened, and you know it, and you saw it. It was Rwanda saying it won't happen here again. That just doesn't come anyhow. You have to have made progress on many fronts to be able to stand for yourself and respond to all the things that are brought your way to destroy you. So I think that story may speak for itself for many years. If we hadn't been building the unity of purpose, the strength to preserve ourselves and live, this Rwandan cannot live on the whims of others. No. It happened, and I've told you even this last year's April. It happened once. It will never happen again. Once was too many times. For the second one, somebody else will pay for it. They will be the ones to go. They will be the ones to perish, not Rwanda again. That one, take it from, I have repeated it. It's not bragging. It's not, it's an act of survival. We don't owe our living to anyone. Never will it happen again.
Your Excellency, may we take a short break and come back for the next segment of this
Let's take
conversation?
one and then
One more, okay, Anangwe, and then.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Eugene Anangwe. I'm the CEO and founder of East Africa Media Group. We do a lot of mentorship and training for media to just change the narrative about media in Rwanda and the region. I'll start first of all by saying thank you for the work you did and all the gallant soldiers to give us a country. I would like to move us away a bit from the DRC conversation and bring it back to 31 years ago. Before the liberation struggle, there was your personal story, the convictions, the thing that made you feel like I need to rise up and fight for my country. And Mr. President, I want to invite you to download the Untold, those moments that you remember today. And when you look back, you say, this was a worthwhile fight for my country. Maybe let's start there and then we can continue later.
Yeah, that's a bit complicated, but I'll try. At the beginning, when I was talking about this whole 31 years being a tough but enjoyable story, I meant the tough side was what was confronted and dealt with, being of such a magnitude that for the half-hearted, they would just collapse under the weight of it first day. But fortunately, we had many people who were up to the task and who were ready and able to give it all, because it meant everything to them. When something means everything to you, then you give everything to make sure it is in good hands. But it was tough. That one, no question, and no need to. There is no way of emphasizing it. The enjoyable part I'm talking about, even on the tough situation, is understanding the story itself, where you are coming from and where you are going, and then finding yourself in the middle of it, being one among many to be looked up to deal with such a tough travel, such a tough journey. It gives a sense of pride, inspiration, really something that is worth being associated with. And when you are there, but also you approach it with a sense that it doesn't end there. The story doesn't end there. What comes out in the end must reflect that difference between what you really fought against and what you are creating. They have to be different. You can't fight against a bad thing and end up with a bad thing yourself, because it would be such a waste of life, even in personal terms. So for me, personal, there are things I can explain, there are other things I can't explain. I cannot explain why in a situation like this that we can explain how even if you explain the magnitude of it, and those many people I talked about who were ready to give what they had and they did, many of them are no longer with us. But their names, their stories live on. Their bravery lives with us. But at the same time, I cannot explain why in that whole journey, one is no longer with us and the others are still with us. Yet all of us were exposed to the same danger. I don't think those who are still lucky like me to still be alive, I cannot account for why I'm still alive. I could have easily gone the way of the others who didn't make it. Therefore, it can't be, there is no one who can get praised for still being alive, because it has nothing to do with you. It just happened. Not because you are smarter or more brave or no, just happened. So that one I can't account for, I can't explain. I can only explain what I do when I'm there. And in fact, some of those who sacrificed are no longer alive. We remember them, we honor them, we respect them for what they know they were, what we know they were associated with, or they did when they are still there. It's the same thing even when they are gone. Yes, these are the people we know because of those things they did. So for my personal stories, you can take it the way you want. Some of the things I'm not responsible for. But others I'm responsible for. Maybe those ones are the ones you can judge the way you want. So that's my personal story.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May we take a short break
Yeah.
and come back for the second segment?
All right.
Thank you.
In a few moments, we find you ready.
twaribohoye naribohoye 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 twaribohoye naribohoye.
As a manager, the further you get from hands-on work, the harder it is to stay in control. Monday.com just completely solves that. The fact that we run on Monday.com and that it takes our day-to-day and automatically turns it into graphs and charts, it's visual, it's crystal clear. It was a real game changer for us. We don't have to manually enter endless data or stare at cryptic numbers on spreadsheets. The Monday.com dashboards just deliver constant real-time insights. Now we can visually see where we can do better and where we need to put our efforts. And those insights turn into actions, which turns into growth. It's that simple. And with Monday.com, it happens naturally. It really takes us to the next level, and it helps us all do better work. And as a manager, that is music to my ears.
twaribohoye twaribohoye naribohoye 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 twaribohoye naribohoye
Thank you, Your Excellency, and welcome to the second segment of this important conversation between yourself and the members of the press. We could go straight to Jesse, and then we'll come to Rigoga.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Jesse Maxella. I host a morning edition on 94.3 Royal FM. You have mentioned 31 years ago, it's been tough, but there's been moments that you've enjoyed. I just want to look at the story that you have, some of which we have an understanding. You said sometime back, Rwanda does not follow rules. And you mentioned that Rwanda follows choices. I want to know, in what ways did your experience as a refugee shape or push you to learn about the world and the experiences of other countries? At the same time, how did this shape your ideology, orientation, or ideological orientation, and the choices that you have made for the country, Rwanda? Thank you.
For the rules, especially the rules of others, we don't follow. We follow our own choices and our own rules. And then if we are to follow other people's rules and choices, it's because we have a good understanding between us with them. But the world we live in has a tendency for people to dictate to you how you should follow the rules. And especially when they are their own. I mean, somebody else's rules to be applied to me. I think we have to make it difficult for them for us to follow their rules. Now, to your question, the first and foremost guidelines we follow have to be centered on what is it that is, because Rwanda, you can say us, Rwandans, we are people like any other. I don't think you would tell me these people of this country or whichever part of the world are better than you. I wouldn't understand it. I don't understand what you mean. People are people. Human beings are human beings. And individuals can be better than others if you are considering specific things, whether they have a talent or a skill or the others don't have. But when you're comparing human beings, because even that one who may lack this or that you are talking about may actually be endowed with other things that maybe those ones you referred to don't have. So it's a very fluid sort of argument. But for our struggle for this country and as a people and what we've gone through, and rules and choices really build on values also, to be guided by certain set of values. So for Rwanda, there are values we have espoused for a long time and talked about. Things that bring us together as a people so that one doesn't feel they are left out because of their background or because of, whatever we consider. The other is to aim high, to say, why, if we are human beings, like I was saying, that should be considered equal with others, why should we be limited in terms of what we aim to achieve in life that is better than what we have, yet we have possibilities of raising ourselves to those levels. So we don't limit ourselves but your thinking may actually determines whether you rise high or whether you sink, depending on how. So our thinking is that one that raises us to the levels we can go to. I've already talked about the other, where we need to bring in everybody. Unity of our country matters, especially we know what we got from the lack of that. So one is to consider ourselves and determine what we want that is best for us. But we also know there is no such a country or people that form an island and they are detached from the rest of the world. You always want to be part of the rest of the world, even with what you aim for and want to achieve for yourself. You always want to be connected, because also that's where you draw from certain things that make you better. But you have to be anchored somewhere. So we are anchored here in ourselves, in our country, in our people, in our politics. So you have to really make sure that you get things right where you are anchored before you venture outside to embrace others or to have them embrace you. So that's what guides us. And when we are talking about ourselves and what we've gone through and what we want to achieve or what we have achieved, and we always do it in the context of thinking about others other than Rwandans, because we are never an island. But you cannot project yourself outside with others from a very low base or a weakness you have refused or failed to overcome. So it is therefore this formation of where we are anchored that allows us to think of which choices do we make that are going to make us better people going forward over time.
Would you believe me if I told you that my eyes are not even real? I recorded this entire clip without looking into the lens and just fixed it later with a new AI tool called eye contact correction. All I need to do is head over to veed.io, upload the clip from my computer, and once it's in the editor, it's really easy. Just click on your clip at the bottom of the screen, select eye contact on the left-hand side, and in just a few seconds, the AI has worked its magic. Nobody would ever know that I wasn't looking directly in.
Constant conversation. It's not a one-off thing that you decided one day somewhere and that's it and you keep going. No, it changes. It's dynamic. And we keep even re-examining ourselves and our rules and our choices, whether they were right in the first place or whether they apply in that moment or they are likely to apply in time ahead. So that if you don't find them fitting, then you change them. You adjust them to suit the time and the needs of that moment. So it's that. Well, sometimes people find it complex, and maybe don't even bother to think about it. But in terms of leadership and governance of our country, we need to hold them dear to ourselves, and so that we don't lose the grip of things as we should have. We need to have a firm grip on some of these important principles and values. I don't know whether I answered the.
Thank you. I just want to do a follow-up question on that. It's been mentioned that your leadership is unapologetically very strategic. But I want to ask, looking ahead, 10 years maybe from today, what is that one more bold move that Rwanda can possibly make to cement its place as a truly global player?
Well, all elements are there. There's nothing new. There's nothing new we're going to invent, but rather derive those things we're going to do from what we are doing already, because with creating a vision, you must have a vision. A vision takes you up to a point, and that is the essence of, therefore, giving value to time. And should you realize that with more time ahead, the world we operate in, or the needs of the people, are going to be different, then you adjust according to that, but you are adjusting from a certain position where you have been already, or where you are. So the strategic thinking or thing you need to do, if it comes, you get to think about it or to know it when it is time for it to think about it or to apply Otherwise, you want continuity, you want something to keep growing. That's what growing means. You want to be better today than you were yesterday. And you are thinking of being better tomorrow than you are today. And along that thinking, looking at the cross-section of many things happening, that thing that you need to implement pops up at that time. But the most important thing for me, associated with your question, you need that continuity. You need that sustainability to keep moving forward and never do well today, get drunk with that, and then you find a few months, years ahead, you really collapse. Don't get drunk with success or with the achievement, but rather that should energize you, that should inspire you to keep going. So for me, my worry is always that of continuity. That's what how do I continue the momentum? How do I keep going? If some moments you can move faster, then you do, but don't go below the speed or the quality at which you have achieved a number of things going forward.
Thank you, sir. Rigoga.
Murakoze, nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nitwa Rigoga Ruth, ndi umunyamakuru wa RBA, by'umwihariko mu biganiro by'imikino. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, mwasobanura mute siporo y'u Rwanda mu myaka 31 ishize, discipline, kwitanga, vision, indangagaciro byafashije igihugu kwiyubaka. Musobanura mute impamvu iyo bigeze kuri sport biba ikibazo? Murakoze.
Yeah. Sinzi niba ari siporo gusa, ariko siporo ubundi siporo ni warebamo ibintu nka 2 cyangwa 3. Icya mbere, agaciro biha ni akahe? What do you want to give? What value? Agaciro biha siporo ni akahe? Icya kabiri, witegura ute? Witeguye ute kugira ngo ako gaciro kabeho cyangwa se gakure kazamuke? Mu rurimi rw'icyongereza ni organization. How do you organize to do that? Icya gatatu ni talent. Ubona mu bantu kuba badafite talent, you can't blame them. If I have no talent for football, really, don't blame me. It's not my fault. So icya mbere ni agaciro biha, icya kabiri ubigenza ute, gushyira hamwe ibikorwa n'ibitekerezo gute kugira ngo bizamure ka gaciro, noneho abantu bafite ubushobozi, ubumenyi, ibyo bavukanye bibaha. Ibyo rero nko mu gihugu tugashyiraho minisiteri ya siporo cyangwa za siporo zitandukanye, federation zazo zishyira hamwe n'iki. Iyo ni organization itameze neza, ni ikibazo. ikindi umuco mujye muha agaciro, umuco ufite agaciro. Umuco mvuga ni iki? Hari n'abantu baba bazi umupira, cyangwa hari na organization ihari, cyangwa abayobora nabo barahari, ariko umuco bafite nahoraga mbivuga, najyaga mbivuga ku mugaragaro, ugasanga abakinnyi b'umupira aho kugira ngo bakine rwose bashyireho umwete n'umutima ubishaka n'iki, bagatangira gutekereza utuntu bashyira mu izamu kugira ngo iyo wagiyeho ibintu byose uba wabikubye na zero. N'uriya munyezamu ushatse ntiwamushyiramo, kandi niba wizeye twa tuntu wadushyizemo ukamwihorera, urashyiramo wiki. Ibyo rero bigera no ku bantu, ni kamere y'abantu, ntabwo mfite ukuntu nabisobanura bihagije, impamvu umuntu yemera iki undi atemera iki, cyangwa rimwe na rimwe no kwemera ikintu ubundi ku buryo busanzwe umuntu akwiye kuba abona ko nta kintu kirimo, ariko umuntu akabyemera. Cyangwa se waba utemeye ibyo, ugatekereza ukuntu ariko uzasifura ninde, turebe uko tumugenza kugira ngo ejo azatubere. Iyo wagiye muri ibyo na talent wari ufite n'ibindi byose, ariko ubundi umukino, siporo kugira ngo itere imbere, ukora biriya bintu nakubwiye, ariko noneho ukanavuga uti okay, siporo habamo gutsinda, habamo gutsindwa, kandi muri uko gutsinda no gutsindwa harimo gutera imbere. Ni ukuvuga ngo wagerageje, wakoze ibyo washobora gukora, ahubwo niba wanatsinzwe wavanyemo isomo rivuga ngo ariko urabizi icyo nazize ni iki, nakibonye. Umukinnyi nakinishije aho atagomba gukina, cyangwa iyo nzanamo undi igihe ukagira bitya, ibyo ngibyo akaba ari byo. Rero iyo watsinzwe uvanamo isomo, ntabwo ugenda ngo wiyahure kubera ko watsinzwe. Imikino yose ntawe udatsindwa, kugira ngo murabibona, n'abazwi ku isi b'ibihanganye muri za siporo zitandukanye, haba igihe ibintu byabagendekeye nabi nk'abo, nk'abantu, ariko noneho ni timu. Ariko ni ibintu bihoraho rero, bihoraho. Noneho on average umuntu akavuga ati ariko urareba timu iratera imbere, cyangwa kanaka aratera imbere nawe, bituruka mu itimu cyangwa mu muntu utagiye mu bintu bigwe, ugiye mu bapfumu, ugiye mu gushaka ko watugira abantu, cyangwa hari ibindi bibi bakora ntirwa mvuga, kugira ngo ajye mu kibuga yacitse intege, adashobora gukina, adashobora no guhagarara, wamuvangiye imiti. Iyo byagiyemo aho, nibwira rero ko aho tugeze, hari abantu benshi, abanyarwanda bafite muri bo talent, kumenya muri siporo zitandukanye. Twashakisha rero ahantu hose, ariko byose bishingira kuba ubanza kwemera uwo uri we. Ntabwo ushakisha gusa ibyo ubona hanze utihereyeho ngo ubanze uvuge uti ariko nabigeraho nkanjye, kuko mfite uko nteye n'undi uko ateye bitandukanye, ariko nk'igihugu dufite abantu, timu yacu iteye itya, twayishakira iki, twagera gute. Ndibwira ko bishoboka, ariko ntabwo ari ibintu byizana gusa ngo bibe abantu batatekereje uko babigenza.
Thank you, sir. Munyaneza, hanyuma Jado.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. My name is James Munyaneza. I work with the New Times. And I want to pivot to international matters. Recent developments, different dynamics globally suggest a shifting or rather changing world order. Do you see a situation where we are potentially moving into a more multipolar world? And what does this mean for Africa, of course, and for Rwanda? Do you think we are ready? Yeah.
Well, whether we are ready or not, we should be ready. Because even if I tell you, yes, I'm seeing it coming, well, it may not come. But you should always be prepared for what if it were to come, actually. Suppose I even made a mistake in my analysis and assumed it's not coming. Why should I not be actually prepared if I found I made a mistake and actually it came? But what you are saying, as I see, like many other people see it, the world order will always change. It won't remain the same forever. There'll be one form of world order today, there will be another tomorrow, or another maybe 10 years after, or 20, or doesn't matter. It depends on many, many things. As we see, we should be educated by what we see. But it also originates from, maybe it's important when you say Rwanda or Africa, it originates from the politics, global politics or geopolitics, how it values things. You know, people will tell you interests. Okay, how do you value your interests? If you are powerful and you have interests, that's fine. But how do you achieve interests? Do you achieve your interests by ignoring other people's interests? Or you value your interests, and in achieving them, you're also at the back of your mind saying you're not alone in this world. Maybe as you pursue your interests, it is important to be thinking about others' interests. So that maybe you find common ground, you are together, you even form alliance, or you do this, but it comes out from saying, yes, my interest, but your interests also. And very often we are going to find that people, or even countries, make mistakes, especially the powerful ones. Sometimes they think they will achieve their interests anyway, whether they consider yours or not. And sometimes somebody will come and say, no. For me.
You wouldn't chat and work in two separate rooms.
Can you send me that report? Yeah, definitely.
So why do so many people chat and work in two separate apps? With ClickUp, all your team communication is in the same platform as your docs, projects, whiteboards, and AI, which means all your work
may work sometimes. Other times, it has certain limitations. It works only for a certain time, because there are other forces, there are other powerful groups. But even the least powerful, like us, for us, we don't even come on the list of powerful. But there are certain things, even with my insignificance, you can't force me to do. I said it earlier. there is no power that would come and say, you know what, you must accept FDLR. That one, then I tell you, okay, look for what you're going to do to me, because you are sure I'm not going to accept them. So the multiplicity of this happening here, there, of this, these differences and how to sort them out, and the agreements, the disagreements, keep forming the world order of the day, of the time, globally. Is how do these merging powers behave? How do they behave towards others? Because you have also seen there are times when they move together, reach a point, and then they even have a divide among themselves. It's like maybe they discover one of the allies either is taking them for granted, or is cheating them, or is minding only their own business and not yours. So it creates a difference. But that also creates other formations of alliances. If somebody may have to say, if I can't get what I wanted here because somebody doesn't care about me, how about teaming with the other one and actually together put together our strength and also get what we want? So it's very fluid, it's very dynamic, and it works only for a certain period, and as we have seen. But you can see it coming, you can smell it. People can ignore it, because again, once people are powerful, they really start becoming insensitive to certain things. They think they are the only ones who matter, the rest don't. And that is when things start happening even before they realize. Now, but the most important part of your question, Rwanda, Africa, it's going to be difficult for me to explain, because Africa, where we are, is not where we should be. And even more challenging to understand is we have everything to be where we want to be, except ourselves. We somehow, we are not there to deliver on what we already have in our hands to be transformed into what we should be. We are absent somehow. I can't explain that. I have no medicine for it. On a smaller scale, therefore, talking about Rwanda, I think you'll never find us not trying. At least we are trying within our limited means and resources to be where we want to be. We are on a journey to being what we should be within that limited space. And if we can work with other African countries, and we try, we can move the needle towards that objective. But it wants more people doing what they might be wanting to do, what we need to do. The more we are together doing what we should do, the more likelihood we get there or get there faster. Yeah, that's how it is.
Thank you,
Let him
Excellency.
finish something that you want to.
Just on a lighter note, the other day I was speaking to a young person and said something interesting and said, we now have a minister of enjoyment. I was like, what do you mean minister of enjoyment? So he said,
Minister who?
of enjoyment.
Okay.
And the reference was, what is it, Konji?
Okay.
Konji.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and then I was like, okay, this is interesting. Okay, was this a bonus? Was this? But then, Mr. President, just put to you maybe the thinking. What was the thinking? Because this was the first time
For
I see
Konji.
for additional 2 days, or this is something to be expected going forward. And then finally,
I think you needed it. Sometimes I think I see people stressed and really almost like to drop. So maybe you needed it. But at the same time, this person who you had a conversation with, on a personal level again, if you asked him, let me assume he was complaining. He said, why did they give us these 2 days? If you probed deeper, and asked him, say, by the way, what was your plan? What did you really want to do in these 2 days that you are now not going to achieve because you have to? First of all, you may discover the guy was going to anyway spend the whole morning sleeping. And maybe the afternoon, even if he goes to office, he just goes there and is surfing the internet. You know, it's really not. So for the 2 days, you find so declaring it officially a rest day may serve his interests better. So, but anyway, it stemmed from, you remember 1st of July is actually when we got independence, meaning from decolonization. And then 4th of July is the Liberation Day. While we cannot keep having a celebration for this, then celebration for that, and blocking those days in succession like that, you are also aware there are times when 1st of July or 4th of July may fall on a Saturday or a Sunday. If it fell on 4th of July, 4th of July fell on Saturday, that is really not a holiday for the 4th of July. It is a Saturday anyway. You had it. So sometimes if it falls on a Saturday or a Sunday, we give people a Monday. You see the point? That's what normally increases the number of. So if you look at the first and the fourth, one of them was going to run into the weekend, is it? But they were.
Fourth was a Friday.
Fourth.
It's a Friday today. So it was going to get into the weekend.
It was so. You would have been given a Friday, but still you would have then had Friday and a Saturday, because anyway you have a Saturday. And then the first of.
Was a Tuesday. First of July was a Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday. So is that the time you had?
Yes. Tuesday was supposed to be a holiday.
And
then
so we gave therefore Wednesday and Thursday. Fine. do you want, let's say, you say the first was on Tuesday. Okay, we give you a Tuesday. Then you break and come to work on Wednesday. On Wednesday. Then you come on Thursday. Then Friday is so do you want to keep dancing like that? Or we may as well put them all together and just say, okay, you have them. Do with yourself whatever you want. At least come fresh on a Monday and start the business. That was really the thinking.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
And if you may allow, and there was that speculation, of course, social media speculation, hateful speculation,
Yeah.
I'd call it, surrounding your personal health.
Yes.
I don't know if you would want to say something about that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, how do people account for their personal health? Ordinarily, how do they, all of you, me, and others, how do people want to account for people's personal health? Is there an exception, by the way, in this world? Is there anybody? Well, first of all, there is nobody who lives forever. Secondly, even for anybody's life, whether short or long, you have to manage all these issues as human beings. Well, but when it comes to politics, maybe this is not taken into account. In fact, some of my personal health problems might originate from managing you people. the amount of stress you and so for me as a human being, yeah, you know, people got COVID, they get this, they get the flu, they get the cold, people just, even their own hearts, as they're moving, the heart stops and somebody falls down. I mean, isn't this human? What is the problem? what do people want me to account for? That I'm not human? Even if those, you call them the hateful people who, I mean, the kind of politics, you know, the very person might be talking about somebody or talking about me and wishing me everything bad and say, wish, you know, he has actually died and then by the time you see me, he's actually already dead himself. And which has nothing to do with me, just because these guys are human beings. Like, so it's, yeah, but this is the kind of politics I think, I hope we got liberated from ourselves as a nation. It's even beyond stupidity. It just doesn't make sense. Have you ever had anybody, I mean, you can rejoice even when they are carrying somebody in a coffin going for burial. You can have that moment of rejoice and say, aha, turamukize, and so on. And by the time he gets into his car, 1 kilometer, he has followed the other one. So I don't understand the logic, the politics, or anything at all. So anyway, at least you raised the question. Rest assured, it is me sitting here with you. It's not anybody.
Jado hanyuma Ines.
Nze nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika nitwa Bagishya Jean de Dieu mpagarariye BNB Kigali FM. Nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika turizihiza ku nshuro ya 31 umunsi wo kwibohora. Iyo myaka ntabwo iri kure y'iyo mwari mufite muyobora urugamba rwo kwibohora, ndetse abenshi bo mwari muyoboye amateka twereka ko bari munsi y'iyo myaka. Imibare dufite yo mu kigo cy'igihugu cy'ibarurisha mibare itwereka ko muri iyo myaka 2030 niho ubu dufite abanyarwanda benshi. Tukaba turi mu gihe cy'ikoranabuhanga, iterambere, ibirangaza ni byinshi, yewe ubu dufite amahoro, dufite umutekano, hari n'uwarangara akabisinda nk'uko mwigeze kuvuga. Dusubiye inyuma nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika, indangagaciro n'amahame mwari mufite icyo gihe yo kwitanga ku kugeza ku gitambo kirenze ibindi cy'ubuzima bwanyu ku rugamba, uyu munsi mu bibazo u Rwanda twaba dufite mubona bari muri iyo myaka biteguye. Impanuro mwabaha ni izihe muri iki gihe aho twatangiye no kubona hatari na kure ko urubyiruko ubundi imbaraga za buri gihugu zanaba ikibazo ku gihugu, ahubwo ingufu zabo bakaba banazikoresha basenya na bike ibihugu byabo bari bamaze kugeraho. Impanuro muha urubyiruko rwacu n'izihe nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika? Murakoze.
Impanuro naho urubyiruko zihana abakuru twebwe n'abandi
When I put it down, don't play around, I put it down, I can do it. I never stress, I never settle for less, never settle for less. Now I'm gonna take it. Sensational, wild creatures.
Kibone bagitunge bakigereho batagikoreye. No muri ibyo bihe byacu by'urugamba nabo bari bakiri n'abatoya no kuturusha barugiyemo bakajya bate barahari koko kandi nibo batumye bigera, ariko buriya hari n'abandi baruhunze n'icyo gihe, hari ababihungaga bakabigendera kure, bababwira bagashaka impamvu, nabo bari bahari. Rero byose biva mu burere busanzwe bw'ababyeyi bw'igihugu, biva no mu burere bwa politiki, ukabitoza abantu, ukabihozaho, ukabigisha, nanone mu 10 wigishije havamo wenda 5, wabura umunyamahirwe hakavamo 6 bazima bakumvise bagiye gukora ibyo kandi bakabikora. Aho hari ba bandi 4, 5, ariko utanigishije, utagerageje, utashakishije uko waba muri 2, 3. Ni ukuvuga rero ngo izo mbaraga zo kwigisha uburyo bwa politiki, uburyo bw'uburezi busanzwe, uburyo n'ibigomba guhoraho. N'ubu buri munsi tugomba guhozaho, namwe uko muri aho no mu mirimo yanyu mukora mujye mwibutsa, mujye mushyira ntuvuge amakuru gusa nahuye na perezida jya urangiza ushyiraho umurongo ukangurira abantu. Ababisomye azasoma wa murongo, wenda hari uzarokoka kubera ko ngabo. Ni ibintu rero tugomba kuzirikana bigahoraho mu mashuri, mu buzima busanzwe, muri politiki yacu. Abayobozi aho bari hose bagakora ibyo bakwiye gukora, bindi bidahuye n'ibyo abona umwanya agashyiramo wa murongo, bakigisha abana ibintu byo gufata ibiyobyabwenge, ibintu byo kunywa inzoga, bakaziririmba bakazogeza, bigasa nk'aho ari disipurine niyo irakenewe, ni ngombwa, niyo yaba ishaririye niko imeze. Disipurine irasharira, ituma abantu bigoma ibyo bakunda cyangwa iki. Ni nk'uko ushobora kujya kwa muganga, bimwe twavugaga by'abantu, ubuzima bw'abantu, ukajya kwa muganga, muganga akakubwira ati maze urekeraho kunywa isukari kubera ko turakubonamo ufite uburwayi bw'isukari, diyabete cyangwa iki, ariko kubera ko isukari iryoha cyangwa ikuryohera uyikunda, ukajya ugira utyo ugatirisha, ugashyiramo akayiko kamwe, ugashyiramo akandi, cyangwa ukayikomeza ukajya wihisha. Ariko ibyo nubwo ubikora utyo, ubuzima bwawe burimo buragenda, ya sukari igumya igutwara ku mpera y'ubuzima bwawe. So n'ibi rero by'abana, dukangurira abana muri kunywa ibiyobyabwenge, muri inzoga muzigabanye, umuntu ntakure yogeza inzoga, kunywa inzoga, kuko abo zica turababona buri munsi. Ubwo ariko icyo tubikuburiza ni ukugira ngo ubeho ubuzima bwiza, wiyubake, ndetse wubake n'igihugu muri bya bikorwa wavugaga. Ni ibintu rero bihoraho, ni akazi gahoraho ka buri munsi, ntabwo gashobora kugabanuka.
Ines. Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Ines Nyinawumuntu. I'm a journalist and I'm the deputy head of RBA Radios. I would like to ask you just a small curious question. Your Excellency, if you could spend one day as an ordinary Rwandan citizen,
that I am actually, I'm one already.
yes, but
okay.
Without anyone knowing you were the president, what would you do? Where would you go? And what would you hope to learn? Thank you.
Many things. Some things come with age. If it was long ago when I was still young, I would go skydiving, I would go bungee jumping. I would do some of these crazy things that I used to do some of them when I was still young, but as I kept growing, the people said, please. So I would just have, I don't know, I wouldn't drink, but I would have as much fun that, fall in the normal brackets of fun, almost without limit. Yes, in fact, I wish I could be younger. I would do some of the things I missed doing those days of just, being there, free, fearless, and just enjoying what nature provides. Yeah.
Your Excellency, may we take two last questions?
Okay.
And then we, Oswald, hanyuma Aisa.
Yes, murakoze nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika. Nitwa Mutuyeyezu Oswald, kuri mikoro nkoresha izina rya Oswa Kim. Yego. So ndagira ngo ngendere ku mujyi wa kibazo Ines wajije cyoroshye, ariko mbaze n'ikindi kirebana n'ingengo y'imari. Muramutse nk'u Rwanda ruramutse ari ikipe y'umupira w'amaguru mwakina kuri kangahe? Icyo ni kimwe. Hanyuma ikindi, mwabwiye abanyarwanda gufunga mukanda, ariko twagiye kubona tubona ingengo y'imari yiyongereye kurenza ibindi bihe byabanje. Niba nibuka neza yiyongeyeho 20%, 21%. Abantu benshi baratunguwe, baravuze nyamara igihugu gifite amafaranga, gufunga mukanda ntabwo ari ngombwa. So muraza kubikoboza. Murakoze.
Najya mu izamu icya mbere cy'umupira, niho najya numva byakunda. Icya kabiri cy'ingengo y'imari, uko igihugu gikura n'isi, nahoze mvuga ko nta gihugu kiri Ireland, nta kirwa cy'igihugu. Actually, n'ubwo gufunga mukanda ni ukuvuga ngo mukoreshe neza bike dufite, nicyo bivuze, kubera ko hari byinshi dushaka gukora birenze ibyo dufite. Iyo ufunze umukanda rero ni ukuvuga ngo wongera ibyo washoboraga gukora kubera ko warondereje usigira ibitari byabonye. Icyo ni kimwe gitandukanye n'ibyo bindi. Rero budget ushobora gukoresha mbere y'uko uyinayigena, uhereye kuri ibikenewe, urabanza ukareba ariko ibyo ufite ni ibiki, bingana bite. Kuzamura budget byatewe na byinshi tubona bigomba gukorwa, bikenewe, ariko tunabona n'ahantu twagenda tuvana amafaranga adushoboresha kubikora. Nicyo iyo mibare ivuze gusa, niko iyo 20% yiyongereye. Ntabwo ari ukuvuga ko hatakiri kwa kundi ko kurondereza cyangwa gukoresha neza, ahubwo twagize amahirwe mu byinshi byiyongera buri munsi tugomba gukora, dusaba n'ubushobozi tudafite. Twasanze aho dushobora kugabanya ahandi cyangwa kuzakura amafaranga hagenda hazamuka. Reka nguhe noneho urugero rumwe. Urabizi gufunga umukanda, urabizi byanahereye ko bibaga, mwabonye batubwira ko batakiduhaye imfashanyo twayaga barabibonye muri izi ntambara muri iyi minsi ishize, bati twahagaritse ibi. Ntabwo byaba ngo ubure gutekereza gufunga mukanda, ariko nubwo ibyo byabaye, twashakishije ibyajya mu mwanya w'ibyo batwambuye, cyangwa se turanavuga ngo ariko ubundi byajyaga he? Ubundi rega bimwe byajyagaho tutanakeneye, nibigende. Ubwo ariko ni ukuvuga ngo hanyuma tujya no mu gushakisha aho tuvana revenues. N'iki hari ahantu hagiye usanga tutahavana amafaranga kandi dukwiye kuba tuhahavana, ubwo akaba arinjiye. Hanyuma turongera dufata umurongo w'ibikenewe gukorwa, turavuga ariko hari ibyo tutasimbuka. Turongera dushaka n'uburi babandi bari barahagaritse imfashanyo, bamwe bagira ngo aho bamariye kubona ukuri barabireka biraza. Urumva rero ibyo twari twarafunze kubera ko twabonye ko aba nabo bafunze, bageraho bakaza niyo bazana igice cyangwa niyo biriyongereye, ntabwo twakomeza ngo dufunge kandi twabonye ko hari ikiyongereye mu bushobozi twabonye. Niho bituruka.
Kuri ko mwahisemo kujya mu izamu, ntabwo mwadusobanurira impamvu mu izamu ariho mwakina. Murakoze.
Ni ukubera umutwe wanjye niho numva ari uburebure, ari amaboko yanjye, kwa kundi nahoze mvuga nti nkiri muto nasimbuka mu kirere, harimo gusimbuka, hanyuma harimo no nkeneye n'amaguru yanjye kugira ngo hariya hagati wakina atavunika, so mu izamu niho nahitamo.
Murakoze.
And so we might take the last question from Aisha.
Murakoze cyane nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika, nitwa Aise Kiza, nkaba ndi umunyamakuru n'umuyobozi wungirije wa Royal FM. Ikibazo cyanjye kiragaruka by'umwihariko ku bagore muri rusange. Turashimira cyane nubwo ndi umunyamakuru, ariko reka njye mu nkuru nanjye nshimire by'umwihariko uruhare mwabigizemo kugira ngo abagore tube dufite ijambo mu gihugu cyacu, kuko iyo urebye mu nzego zose zitandukanye usangamo abagore mu nzego zifata ibyemezo, yaba ari muri guverinoma, mu nteko ishinga amategeko n'ahandi. Ariko ndagira ngo nse nko gusubiza inyuma gato cyane mu rugamba rwo kubohora igihugu. Uyu munsi hashize imyaka 31, bamwe twari batoya, turabona uruhare umugore agira mu iterambere ry'igihugu kuri ubu mu gihe cyacu tungana gutya, natwe ubwacu tugira, ariko ntabwo tumenye inkuru nyazo z'uruhare abagore bagize mu rugamba rwo kubohora igihugu. Nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika, ari mwe noneho muzitubwiye uruhare rw'abagore rwari uruhe muri uru rugamba uyu munsi twizihiza by'umwihariko imyaka 31 u Rwanda rwibohoye.
Uruhare rw'abagore rwari runini cyane kandi ngira ngo abenshi baranazwi, ndetse bagiye bahambwa ibihembo ku mugaragaro, ari abari ku rugamba ubwabo, hari n'abandi niyo baba batari ku rugamba bakoraga ibikorwa bishyigikira urugamba, bakoraga indi mirimo itandukanye. Hari abakoraga imirimo yo gushaka, bagendaga isi yose bashakisha amikoro dukoresha ku rugamba. Hari kandi ibyo no kubishyira mu kandi gaciro, uzi ko hari n'abagore batanze abana babo aribo baturutseho, cyangwa se bataye abana babo mu mago bakabashakisha aho babareza ahandi bakajya ku rugamba. Ibyo byose ni ibintu biri byanditswe mu mateka bizwi, keretse wenda kuvuga amazina gusa, ariko ni na benshi kurusha abo umuntu yavuga mu mazina. Abagore rero bagize uruhare runini, ndetse ahenshi ntabwo batandukanya n'abagabo. Hari abajyaga ku rugamba n'abagabo, hari kubavanamo gusa ukabashyira iruhande, byo nta nubwo bitanga ukuri kwabyo. Kenshi babikoranaga n'abagabo, ubundi bagakora indi mirimo itandukanye. Ni nk'uko n'ibyo nayo mvuze by'uko bagendaga isi yose bashakisha, babaga bari kumwe n'abagabo bagenzi babo cyangwa abahungu bagenzi babo. Uruhare rwo rurazwi kandi no mu mateka biranditswe, byanaherewe n'agaciro. Hari abantu bamwe bagiye bahabwa ako gaciro ku mugaragaro. Nta kindi numva nabivuga.
Biturutse kuri urwo ruhare, kuri ubu ukurikije uko abagore dugira uruhare mu iterambere ry'igihugu kuri ubu mu myaka iri imbere nk'u Rwanda wifuza kubona ubona uruhare rwacu rukwiye kuba uruhe cyane cyane hahandi nawe wakwicara ukavuga ngo dore u Rwanda nifuza ni uru nguru cyangwa se u Rwanda.
With Monday.com's intuitive work management platform, you have the power, not IT, not admins. You're in charge. So you can tailor work exactly how you love to do it. For example, you can add custom fields and choose how you
n'umugore kumuha agaciro mpera kukamuha nk'umuntu muti nk'umugore ni nk'umuntu hanyuma ibyo bindi by'uko umugore yakora ibi cyangwa umugabo agakora ibi ibyo biza nyuma birisobanura ubwabyo nta n'ubwo njye nagomba no kubijyamo naho u Rwanda nta Rwanda rw'abagore nta Rwanda rw'abagabo mu Rwanda rw'abanyarwanda abagore n'abagabo bagiramo uruhare bakwiye bitewe n'ubushobozi bafite. Hari ibintu bimwe no mu muco cyangwa muri ko duteye nk'abantu, hari ibintu usanga bimwe byorohera akazi bumva gakorwa neza cyangwa korohera umugore kugakora cyangwa se kakorwa neza korohera umugabo kugakora. Hagahoraho ubwo bwuzuzanye rero kurusha kubitandukanya ngo u Rwanda twifuza ni umugore waba agira atya cyangwa ibyo birasanzwe bishinzwe biri no mu muco wacu cyangwa se mu majyambere dukora ahuza abantu no guhuza ibihugu. Umugore iteka agomba kuba afite icyambere cyangombwa ni umugore kudasigara inyuma kubera ko ari umugore, cyangwa se nta nubwo akwiye no gutezwa imbere kubera ko ari umugore. Akwiye gutezwa imbere kuko ni uburenganzira bwe, ni umuntu. Icyo kuba umugore ntabwo nahindura umugore ngo mugire umugabo cyangwa umugabo mugire umugore. Ibyo ni ibintu bisanzwe mu mibereho y'abantu. Ntabwo nibwira rero ngiye ko nashaka cyane gushyiraho uwo murongo. Nta kintu umugore akwiye guhezwamo, nta kintu umugabo akwiye guhezwamo, nta kintu umunyarwanda akwiye guhezwamo. Buri wese abifiteho ubushake n'ubushobozi nk'uko imiterere y'igihe cyangwa yabo imeze.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for this insightful and valuable exchange. And thank you to members of the press for your contribution. We wish we had more time, but we'll have another time for this.
Sure.
We've come to the end of this conversation, and we wish you all a productive Kwibohora Day.
Sure, thank you. Nibutse ko hari n'ibindi dufite ku mugoroba n'uyu munsi cyangwa n'ejo ko mwana uhari umwanya wose.